All right. And so one of the proudest things I've ever done is get signatures for Prop 215. And with that, legalization is here because of gay men dying, period. And I would like to join my friend Neil Lequia, who recently is, well, you're part of what, AIDS research, and also you have a little segment in Vice coming up, right?
Yeah, so I'm founder of the Full Spectrum, which is the LGBTQ organization within the cannabis industry for the cannabis industry professionals. But I've also worked in HIV research, and I have taken part in a lot of HIV research myself, just being somebody who is an HIV patient. Um,
Well,
yeah.
you just did a webinar for, because you're a part of Cannabis Alliance, right? And the
Mhm.
webinar was in regards to like the history of how would you say, LGBTQ or BIPOC? I mean, what's the word we're using this week? I don't know.
Well, BIPOC is Black Indigenous People of Color, so
Yeah,
that's like a specific group within the LGBTQ or umbrella.
gotcha.
Um, but yeah, I didn't know that you collected signatures for 215. That's pretty remarkable. The webinar that you were talking about, that was the queer history of cannabis legalization, and it was all about how cannabis really was legalized in direct response to the AIDS crisis. There,
Exactly.
there was no AIDS medicine for a number of years during the Reagan administration. So people were sick and dying just in droves. And cannabis was really the only thing that really helped people to get the munchies and deal with their pain and be able to survive. So it really was the medicine before we had any medicine.
And I remember that time, like when so the reason why I got signatures, and honestly, dude, I had no idea it was because of sick, because it was sick people, right?
Mhm.
I just thought it was a chance to legalize weed. I was like, all right, it's medicinal. Like, again, I was 19, 18 at the time, and uh medicinal didn't mean shit to me. I just wanted to not go to jail. I just wanted this thing to be normalized and everything. But then, Prop 215, I got the signatures. And then after that, I actually joined the Navy right after when Prop 215 came about. So I didn't even get a chance to like enjoy any of the
Mhm.
stuff. But I actually was lucky enough to write an ode to Dennis Perron, and he actually read it. And poor Dennis was so sick. And for people who don't know, Dennis was one of the main brains behind Prop 215. There's actually a group of
Mhm.
people. When you mention it, there's always like five other people going, "I was there too," and
Oh yeah.
it's whatever.
Yeah, but Dennis is really known as the father of medical marijuana, and it's was a remarkable person, and not a lot of people know that the father of medical marijuana was a gay man, and
Yeah.
he was struggling with the police, and he was arrested and shot at and raided, and just went through a lot of things, and was really the architect of 215.
Well, and his was it husband or spouse? I don't know how they refer to each other with Harvey, but
Mhm.
Harvey went through so much shit too. I mean, just the persecution these guys went through for
Mhm.
just being gay men.
Yeah, yeah. Harvey was a really great friend of his, but who, lost his life, just was assassinated for being gay, and he was really open about cannabis as well. But Dennis Perone, he had another partner named John, I believe, who passed away in 1991, and that was um, really. The beginnings of 215, and
Yeah.
just really turning it into that medical use, that medicinal use, because his partner just was wasting away and suffering, and he just
Well,
got popped with it.
the taboo, dude, like back when I was, because it's kind of like, it's so funny, dude. You're going through a pandemic with COVID, and everybody's mask. I don't know, wear mask. And when AIDS was coming about, God, when people found out it was linked to fucking, they're like, oh. I mean, like, you got a fucking disease, like that's it. I mean, drug addicts and blood. When we got more educated, right? People
Hmm.
thought you got contracted from hugging and stuff. Like, it was so ridiculous.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. there's a lot of misinformation out there about HIV, just as there's been a lot of misinformation about coronavirus. I see a lot of parallels between the two
Yeah.
viruses, but I do find it interesting that we've been able to come up with a coronavirus vaccine within a year, and this is our 40th year with HIV and AIDS that we still don't have a vaccine yet.
My
So
God.
it's
Yeah.
just really interesting, just the amount of efforts that could be taken that just aren't, just because HIV and AIDS is really seen as a gay person's disease, and not everyone really cares about gay people like
No,
that.
that's a great point, dude. I didn't even think about like, I know that the rush for the vaccine, obviously global and all that crap, and people are like, well, how do we get a vaccine so fast when it used to take 5 years? But technology advances, and
Mhm.
yeah, why not? Are people focusing on HIV? I mean, this is, it's not a gay disease. That's what I hate most about it too, because I had a friend who, drug user, he caught it intravenously, and this is again early days.
Mhm.
Um, people were afraid to touch you. Like a hug is a big
Mhm.
fucking deal.
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know?
Princess Diana hugging the gays and touching them without her gloves was a huge deal.
Yeah, yeah. It's horrendous just the way we try and treat each other over ignorance.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. I actually had a situation where I was taking care of my grandmother, probably like 5 or 6 years ago. She wasn't doing super great, and even so, she found out that I was HIV positive, and she was afraid to get it from a cough or a sneeze, and so she threw me out with a 24-hour handwritten note, and then hired people to bleach and sanitize the place after she kicked me out.
Oh my God, dude, I'm so
And then
sorry.
my uncle told her she was better off burning the place to the ground and starting over from scratch.
Oh
And
fuck,
that's
dude.
just like an incredible amount of ignorance from somebody who was at one point in her life a nurse. So
Wow.
just like the not being aware of how far science and medicine has come, not a lot of people really understand or recognize that this isn't the death sentence that it was once upon a time. You
No.
know, I just take a one a day pill and I'm going to be just fine. I feel like the stigma is the worst part about it. I feel like in comparison to other diseases, the treatment plan is really simple. Like if I had asthma, I'd have to carry around an inhaler. If I had diabetes, I'd have to bleed on a device to make sure I didn't slip into a coma,
Yeah.
Like those diseases are just so much more involved with the care and the regimen that you do to keep
Yeah.
you alive and to support you. But with where HIV and AIDS is now, I just take one pill once a day and I'm expected to live a long, healthy life. It's really the least of my health concerns.
That's crazy. I mean, it was such a contrast to what it was when I was younger, and Magic Johnson is obviously living proof. Like money is definitely the first one, right? If you had
Mhm.
money back then, you had a longer lifespan. But then if you didn't have, luckily now it's to the point, at least more people like you can live a normal life. But also you use cannabis to help treat your symptoms, right?
Absolutely. Cannabis is just like the thing that helps you just regulate your body and your mind and your soul in so many ways.
Yeah.
Um, it's just so helpful for munchies and for sleep and anxiety and depression and pain. Um, that it's just something that I've had in my life. Has been part of my personal treatment regimen for a while now, and but I really value cannabis and its healing, its therapeutic properties, mostly for this super rare neurological condition that I have
Mm.
called palatal myoclonus, which basically my palate, the roof of my mouth, spasms 1 to 4 times a second, like a hiccup.
Wow.
So it's just constantly hick, hick,
Huh.
hick, hick all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just just this spasm going on inside my head. So
Wow.
I have chronic pain, chronic headaches from this happening, and cannabis has been a huge relief for me, as well as I have quarterly Botox injections in my mouth
Okay.
to slow down the
Sure.
severity and the speed.
Oh,
So
got you. But
it's just
oh, sorry.
super rare, 1 in 2 million or so. I'm like
Damn.
20 times more likely to be a conjoined twin. It's just like very rare. So
God, dude. But like, so because you've been going through the research and subjects being a study subject, we had on a show somebody, I think it was Dr. Russo. He was talking about how you can actually measure the endocannabinoid system in a person, right? And I imagine being inflicted with something, it probably affects your have you had that measured? Is that a thing that they're looking at when they treat you for cannabis? Or what?
so
Yeah.
my the studies I've been in two different cannabis studies, and I've been in a cannabis study, an HIV study, and an HIV and cannabis study. That's just
Wow.
like with both of them combined. So um um with my just cannabis study, I got to participate in a green lab that was done by Washington State Fish and Wildlife, and that study was to really research and get to understand cannabis impairment and how it contrasts from drunk people.
Hmm.
So we got to get really stoned at this police officer's house. We were doing dabs in the garage and just
No.
really baked,
Oh my God.
and then we got mixed in with drunk people and put in a lineup, and then we were doing field sobriety tests with police officers, and
Wow.
they had to determine whether we were drunk or stoned or both, and what our levels of impairment were. And
Hmm.
research like this is going to be able to help determine how much cannabis can be in your system when to be able to be in a vehicle and drive. One, two, this is a really great argument for allowing consumption lounges to be a thing, just because one of the biggest arguments has been, we don't want stoned drivers on the road. We
Yeah.
don't want people smoking and then driving. But bars exist. Bars are things where people go
Right?
and get drunk and then they drive. It's like a decision that a person might make. They could, there are alternatives. But if you become more impaired from alcohol, then we should be just fine with cannabis.
Yeah. And you're a Washington State resident, right? Like you a
I
long
am.
time from out here. So you remember the medical days where I used to be able to pay for a dab for $2 and go home. Like in that, what, 8 years of medical, how many fucking mass car accidents were happening? Because you know how many times people were dabbing before they left the place? I mean, you have a
Mhm,
great analogy there. Bars
mhm.
exist.
Yeah, bars exist. They're things. And then, and
They're
then
places.
I got to be in a cannabis and HIV study, which was to determine if cannabis had any impact on inflammation in the digestive tract.
Oh,
So they were studying people who had HIV, who didn't have HIV, people who had cannabis in their system, people who didn't. And this study, they couldn't provide the cannabis for us because of it was funded through the University of Washington. But so they had to test me to make sure that I had cannabis in my system. Well, I had
so
to
funny.
fail a drug test or pass a drug test or whatever. And
You studied
and
hard, huh?
yeah, right. And then after they determined I had cannabis in me, I was a regular cannabis user. Then they got me on a table and did 25 rectal biopsies,
Oh,
which
wow.
you know, would seem like an invasive procedure to have a camera and tools, just up your hoo-ha, just like collecting tissue samples and things.
Yeah.
But it was really a spiritual experience for me to be able to give myself to cannabis and science to
Oh,
test.
yeah, sure. I feel
So
you. Like, pieces of
Yeah.
you are little petri dishes all over the place, like being
Yeah.
analyzed. And
Yeah. It's like we've had medical theories and hypotheses about cannabis for thousands of years, and we
yeah,
just haven't had the technology or the science advancement to be able to study it until now. So we really need to be the people to step up and to do these studies and just prove that yes, cannabis works for inflammation. Yes, cannabis works for this, that, and whatever. Like we
yeah,
just have to collect the data in a way that is ethical and transparent and proves these things that we have theorized for thousands of years.
yeah. You know, it sucks too, though. The present condition of our laws also impede that study where they can't supply you the cannabis. Like if they had that
Mhm.
reference of saying, okay, indica, sativa, terpene profiles, whatever, you know, there's all kinds of ways to look at the plant before you administer it to a group of people. But
Yeah, those study results are going to be, they could very easily be inconsistent because of consumption methods and how much somebody uses.
yeah,
So I really hope that they are quantifying how much cannabis was in my system based on the blood, and I hope that they're doing all of these things. I know that when I did that test, that study in particular, they were asking me how I use cannabis and in what ways I use cannabis and
mm,
how much I use that day. But I love cannabis in every single form that you like. Give me a
yeah,
topical, give me a patch, give me edibles, smoke, what dabs, whatever, you know.
damn right. No, I'm all about it. I mean, what was the third study you did?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of cannabis. I wanted it to be a good subject for the study.
You're all doing it for science, man. I
Yeah,
feel you.
for science. For science. Uh-huh.
But then what was the third study that you're a part of?
So the third study was a really neat study that had to do with it was an immunity booster vaccine, and it was non-cannabis but HIV only.
Okay.
And this one was so basically the way that antiretrovirals work, the HIV meds work, is that it basically kills all of the HIV cells that are floating around in your system, right? So, but then there's still dormant cells that are lingering around in these pockets called the HIV reservoirs. So this study, I got to be the very first person to take part in this one, but they theorized that using electrostimulation, they would be able to penetrate to those HIV reservoirs. So basically, they gave me a vaccine, a shot, but it was with this like taser like device that
Oh my
was like
God.
about the size and shape of a police officer's like radar gun, like a speed gun, but they put it on my thigh and they just basically like electrocuted me while injecting me with the vaccine. And it was
Wow.
a really intense situation. It felt like I had a corkscrew digging into my thigh.
Oh
Um,
man.
but if you know, for science,
Yeah.
I hope that I hope that they were able to collect some good data from it. I did
Yeah.
some leukapheresis before and after all of those, so they like collected all of my blood, my white blood cells, and put my blood back in me afterwards. So
Mm.
I hope that they were able to get some good data from that study.
Did they ask if you consume cannabis? Because, like, I mean, it seems like you have an unfair advantage. At least your immune system does, because cannabis is antiviral. Like, it
Uh-huh.
seems like your body had a head start if they're going to be using you as an example.
Well, I've been very transparent about my cannabis usage from with these people from the get-go. They're very aware of it. It was
Mm.
actually from the cannabis and HIV study that I became a participant of that electrostimulation study.
Nice.
Those researchers knew me. They enjoyed me as being part of their study, and they called me as soon as they were looking for people to take part in the next study. So I was
Sure.
really, really honored to be able to take part in that, to be the first person in the world to receive that vaccine, and I really hope that they find out some good stuff from it.
No doubt, dude. So with your activism and your in both LGBT in the gay community, cannabis community, you with full spectrum, because you're trying to encompass everything in one happy package, which is all about Neil. I mean, you are definitely the most positive person that I've ever met. Like for a man that like again, I'm coming from the time where it's like death sentence. Like you're just like, this is a, you start writing notes, you contemplating, okay, I only got another year or so. But when I met you, man, like in the before times, at the events, like that's what we all were about, events. And
Mhm.
you're like this magnet of personality, like it just, you're so positive in life that's why I just really want to get your message out there and help get you out there. That article I wrote for you, I wrote an article on Neil, 2-3 years ago.
Mhm.
That website actually got taken away from us. It was a long story, so
Wow.
if you look for it, it's no longer there. But this video will be forever because it's YouTube and all the other freaking video platforms. But what else is going on? So you got the Vice thing
Yeah.
going on. What's that
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. So the Vice situation is basically they're doing a 2-hour documentary that's going to be coming out this June for the 40th anniversary of HIV and AIDS. So they are going around to 8 different cities around the world and talking to different people about different things from the stigma and research and family situations and beyond. And because of my involvement in those studies, the hospital reached out to me, and they were like, "Hey, Vice is looking for some people to take part in this documentary, and would you be interested in speaking with them?" And in speaking with them, they got to know a bit more about my history working with Fred Hutch in HIV research myself.
Nice.
So a couple years ago, I used to be an outreach specialist with them.
Mm,
So we would strategize how we would go out into the community and find people to take part in the different research studies depending on what the qualifiers for those studies were. So some of them a lot of times would be men who have sex with men, so we would go out to the gay bars, we would stuff the condom bins around, we would talk to drunk people about antibodies, and
mm,
it was just a really great experience for me to be able to talk about HIV regularly. And personally, it really helped me to be more comfortable with my own diagnosis.
nice.
But there were other studies too. Like we did one that was studying the HPV vaccine and how that worked, because we were hoping that we could get some clues about HIV vaccines and how we could maybe piggyback some of the science. So we had to look for 18 to 20-year-old women who had not had the HPV vaccine yet, but who wanted them. So
Wow.
it was kind of trickier to find people for that one, but
Yeah.
I was looking at church groups. I was looking in the colleges. We just had to get kind of creative and figure out how we were going to get involved with the community and find the people for those particular studies.
What did any Latter-day Saint college do for that one?
The BYU, I'm not sure. Well, it might be a good place to find some people who aren't all that sexually active, who hadn't
Yeah.
had the vaccine yet. Honestly, um
I actually read it.
there might be some anti-vaxxers, within certain religious or groups, and children of religious families might not have been vaccinated.
Well, I
So
mean, I know you have a Mormon family. That's why I brought it up. I just thought it was funny because I read an article today that said the FBI and CIA recruit more people from the Mormon community because the
oh,
background checks are easier.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't doubt that. Yeah. It'd be really easy to find people who have never used a drug in their lives.
Right, or just doesn't want do the right things all the time. Like I will wait till the crosswalk turns green before I cross, even though there's no traffic or whatever, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, the Mormons are they're raised with a lot of different values and experiences, and even though it was challenging in a lot of different ways, it was also very enriching in other ways too.
Sure.
Mormons are all young male Mormons are all Boy Scouts. So like
Oh,
it's really big into the Boy Scout program, which is actually a pre-military organization. It's an organization to teach men and to boys
yeah.
to become men and go off to be in the
Full robots.
military. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Mhm.
So, let's talk more about like, uh, because again, I want to go back to the device thing. Did they mention though the importance of how the AIDS epidemic uh started with Prop 215 and legalization? Like, we wouldn't have 16 goddamn recreational states without gay men dying in the beginning of the 90s. Like,
Oh yeah.
straight up.
That's something that I got to touch on personally. So yeah, Vice, I feel like they were really excited about the personal experiences that I had to share with them, because I worked in research, I participated in research. I come
Yeah.
from Mormons. I lived in a small town, which I had to drive 45 minutes to get to the nearest HIV specialist. In
Damn, dude.
Yakima was the closest place, to Ellensburg that I had, and I didn't have a car.
Mm,
So, and then with the stigma, it took me a number of years to be able to feel comfortable with myself, to be able to get on meds and to get insurance.
mm,
But also, they loved that I had this experience with the cannabis industry as well, and was able to speak to how cannabis was legalized in response to the AIDS crisis. So I believe that they're going to be including stuff about Brownie Mary and Dennis. I believe
ooh,
that's going to be happening.
nice.
So I'm not entirely sure all of the specifics just yet.
Right.
I'm really excited to find out more as those details come. But I feel like it's going to be a really well-rounded documentary that had a lot of interesting things to touch on. So,
Yeah, I think they reached out to you. It's not going to be like a whole ignorant type, hour or whatever, because there's going to be editing and shit involved. Like, you
mhm,
only have so much control of things, but it's so important that in the history of prohibition, it starts with racial bullshit, and then it leads to the AIDS epidemic, and then now we get Prop 215 because of the homosexual community, and then later on more things happen when sick kids happen, and then they get the news. There's always this
mhm.
fucked up thing that shows that cannabis helps with. I'm wondering, like, nowadays, now that bringing out the light of like the origins of this, and now we're getting all these recreational use places. How many fucking clan members are out there going, yeah, it wasn't for those gays and blacks? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the back.
This is exactly why I find it really important to share the history. I find it, yeah, I find not a lot of people understand how it got to be this way, which is why when it was pretty eye-opening to me that there wasn't much of queer LGBTQ representation within the cannabis industry when I first got in.
Yeah.
This is something that it's growing, and it's getting better now, slowly but surely. But something that I've found to be really fascinating, and this is a statistic that comes from drugabuse.gov, from the National Drug Abuse Center. Gender and sexual minorities are more than twice as likely to use cannabis than straight people. And that might be kind of surprising to people, but we're also more likely to drop out of school and to be bullied and to commit suicide and to smoke cigarettes and use every other kind of drug. So it doesn't really shock me that we're more drawn to cannabis, just
Well,
from our as a coping mechanism,
yes.
from a lot of our shared trauma experiences.
Well, it helps with PTSD. I mean, it's a thing that it helps with dealing with bullshit, and it's every fucking policy bullshit, all the hurdles we gotta deal with. You know, the stigmas, the ignorance.
Mhm.
Even like when I joked in the beginning, I wasn't joking. I'm dead serious. I don't use acronyms. I just don't believe in like. I think everything's like we all should be treated equal, blah blah blah. But the world's not like that, right? But like when I say BIPOC versus LGBTQ, I just don't use these terms because I don't talk about like I just don't talk like that. I'm just thinking like we all should get along, motherfuckers. Like that should be a
Yeah.
thing, right? But
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
I think yeah, people who don't necessarily use the language, or like they don't use the terms or all that much, or they might not feel all that comfortable using certain terms because they don't really know or understand it. That brings up a really interesting topic about our organization, the Full Spectrum. We used to be called the Queers of Cannabis when we first started,
oh
and it was changed because even though the word queer has been reclaimed by our people, it's something that it's a term that, though it was a slur and derogatory at one point in time, we're taking it as a community back, and we're
yeah,
taking it as an umbrella term that is very interchangeable with LGBTQ, LMNOP. It's like I feel like the alphabet soup can get a bit extensive after a while, and so the word queer is kind of just like an easy umbrella word. But not everyone feels comfortable saying the word queer, and not everyone feels comfortable using that as a term for themselves.
sure,
So it was hard to garner support for an organization if people don't feel comfortable saying the name of the organization.
yeah,
So we dropped that, and we also dropped the word cannabis from our title because as somebody who's done cannabis marketing in social
mm,
media spaces, recognize that the word cannabis or anything that's blatantly cannabis is going to be shadow banned on social
yeah,
media.
totally.
Like, you can type in the organization or the brand or whatever it is into Facebook, and even if there is a Facebook page, it will say no results found. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
they do their absolute best to keep people from finding these organizations and these groups, which is a huge hindrance to us
oh
being
god.
able to thrive.
No, you're preaching to the choir on that one. I have a Facebook page that I helped monitor over 10 years. It's got 300,000 likes on it, and it
Mhm.
hasn't moved. It moves like plus or minus 100 like every 6 months because someone finds us or whatever, or they just don't like us. But uh, yeah, I think full spectrum is a great concept, man. Because we get lost up in these terms, and this is a whole different subject when because I believe I accept anybody for what they identify as, right? Like, and
Mhm.
to me, everybody wants to there's more than two genders, all this shit, right? To me, it's all about sexuality, right? Like, and it's all about who you're gonna hump, and it's like, what? I don't care what you do. Just like I
Yeah.
don't care if you smoke. I don't care what you fucking do away
Mhm.
from me, man.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like you're happily partnered, I understand, right? You're not
Yeah,
going out looking for anything from anyone in particular that I know of. I mean, I don't know what your parameters within your own personal relationship are or whatever. I'm not
right.
making any assumptions. But yeah, I do feel like sexuality, it's whatever, and people should just like let people live and be themselves, and people can thrive if they're left alone or if they're supported.
Yeah.
um
No, I made a shirt years ago. It said I support gay divorce before it was legal, right? And my point was being like, look, why are all the gay guys getting all the fucking luck? Like let them be fucking screwed like me. When you're stuck in a relationship, they're gonna take half your shit. Like how you just gotta pass to do what the hell you want. but like
Yeah, yeah. No, gay divorce is necessary, just as a straight divorce. It wasn't a thing for a very long time, but it was necessary. It was a huge out for battered and abused women to be able to get out of these toxic relationships. So yeah,
But like,
gay divorce, absolutely necessary, absolutely needed, here for it. So
but you know,
glad.
in the end, it's not gay divorce or straight divorce. It's goddamn divorce, just like it's not gay marriage or straight marriage. It's just fucking
Yeah,
marriage. Like
yeah,
this
that part
semantical
right there,
bullshit.
that part, it's just the semantics.
It's so crazy, man. Well, shit, man, we've been at it for half an hour. Is there anything you want to throw out there, promote? You got Full Spectrum here. Let me see if I can share your page.
If you check out on the Cannabis Alliance website, we have all 3 of those webinars on there. So I did the queer history of cannabis legalization, the beginner's guide to gender, and recruiting and retaining diverse talent, which is a really important topic for any industry, really, not just cannabis, but everyone deserves a safe and comfortable place to thrive and have a wonderful workspace. So all of those are on the Cannabis Alliance's YouTube. We just launched our personal website, thefullspectrumnetwork.com.
Oh,
So
sweet.
please check out that website. We have a ton of resources there for businesses. We've really been working hard on our volunteer program, just developing our orientation. We just got our volunteer application up on our website. So please, anybody who is interested in supporting LGBTQ plus individuals, cannabis industry professionals, please join us.
It's a beautiful page you got going on, dude.
Yeah.
That's a clean internet page. You know, it's all about web presence. Like,
wait, hold on. That's not us.
That's not you?
Oh, no, shit. The fullspectrumnetwork.com.
Network. Oh, my bad. That's Jessica. Network. Wow, it was just a good weed.
Yeah, that was a pretty clean website, though.
Yeah, well, you know, it's all about. There we go. It's all about presence, web presence. You know that's. I've been an internet troll for goddamn 10 years, and you know, is this you? No. That says fullspectrumnetworks.com, though.
Network.
Is that it? Oh, network. Oh, shit. My touchscreen's getting weird. Dude, I hate these touchscreens. We're going to be stuck in this mode for a while.
It's all right.
I need weed.
We're doing the virtual thing these days.
Dude, everybody, right? Okay, here we go. Network. Let's see if that flies. Playing. Full spectrum. I tell you what, let me remove this so we don't get distracted by people, or people get distracted by the bullshit. And see if I can find you. Fullspectrumnetwork.com. Dude. So, you know, my biggest thing too with you is you're such a presence in the cannabis community, at least here in Washington State, and I imagine other states as well, because you know, internet now.
Mm-hmm.
But here you go. You sent it to me in the private chat. Sweet. But to get to the spot where you're at, I mean, you were volunteering in all these different networks, like Cannabis Alliance. What else were you part of?
I did a lot of event organization with the Turf Festival. I've really been involved with the Hemp Fest crew and doing a lot of stuff with them as well. So I've been hanging out with the Diversify Portland people. They've been really great down there. That's us. Nice. So yeah, our reach has been growing. We have members of our organization all over the country, and I've actually been compiling a database of all the queer-owned cannabis businesses that I found from around the world. So there's about 70 businesses that I've found from Texas to Amsterdam to Canada, just businesses all over the place. So
damn, dude, that's awesome. I mean, that's a great. It's all about the network. It's all about sharing information. That's why I wanted you to have, you know, be on. And you know, I'm just trying to share people's stories. On top of the volunteering that you've done, and you got the studies. Oh, by the way, one of the most brilliant things that you ever did that I was part of that I went to was your 419 party.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that was fucking fabulous with the terpene water.
Yeah, we really I really feel like it's important to be able to celebrate with the community. It's our with each other too, just because I feel like as an industry, the cannabis industry, we are all so just so tired and worn out on 420 itself. You know, there's just tons of events happening. Those of us or those that work in retail just get
Oh God.
slammed like crazy. You know, it's just like a really insane, intense day for a lot of people within the cannabis industry. So the 419 party was just a beautiful way to be able to celebrate with the Canna fam, just to
Yeah,
bring all of us together and to have a special moment with
dude,
us.
that was such a great event. And I just, the energy, again, it was a brilliant planning. I just didn't realize, like, that's a great concept, like, right the day before.
Yeah, yeah. We've got a couple other events that we're going to be doing too as well. So full spectrum, we're starting to plan our Pride event.
Oh,
We're going
nice.
to be doing something like a burlesque, boylesque, drag virtual event. So
Woo.
keep an eye out for that end of June. And then we're also going to be doing our very first virtual national conference.
Oh
So
my
we're going
God.
to be having all sorts of panelists and workshops and speakers. So it's going to be a fantastic opportunity to bring LGBTQ people and challenges that we're having and interests that we have, just put it all on one plate and be able to serve it up for us all to be able to learn and grow together.
Man, that's gonna be beautiful. Once again, I want to tell people, just go to your website, Full Spectrum, the network, the
.com.
full spectrum network.com. Yeah, totally, man. And then dude, I appreciate you joining me for this little bit, getting your story out there. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. I was like,
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it. That
fuck
was
yeah,
so good to
dude.
see you.